Hey, I'm with my friend Gillian. Hello, Gillian.
Hey.
Trouble About Channel. We've got your video playing of, let me just talk about that quickly, The Great from the 21st of December, and that's Trouble About Channel. Anyway, we'll leave that playing. Yeah, we're having a bit of a chat because, basically, we own America. We own nearly everything else as well. Not me, literally. I mean,
well, not
whatever.
you and I,
Oh.
but...
I said to Gillian, you'll do as you're told. She'd say, rack off, wouldn't you? Anyway, I was just a bit like, I'm still a bit gobsmacked about it because, you know, the Americans for a while that come on my channel kept telling me, I'm not saying every single one, but some would just say, no, England still owns us, and I'd be going, no. You know, outwardly, there's no sign that we do, but just, and I know that the video, she wasn't saying anything I didn't really know, but the way she put it in that video, it's like, wow, it's very short. It doesn't even look a new video. It looks like about 20 years old. There she is. She's put it all in that video, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's a scam, isn't it? It's like, when I found out Australia was still a colony, I was like, what?
Yeah, so I don't know what that's like, you know, for the rest of the world, because we live in the country that's doing it to everybody. So to us, it's the way it is. It's always been sort of this way, if you know what I mean. But I've not sort of, I don't live in a country where I wake up and I think, America. But, what do you mean we still belong to England? Or Australia's the same thing. And so's Canada and so's most of the world. I mean, even if we don't, you know, even if it's not visible, like, the Queen still owns India. I'm telling you, we've got our hand in Russia because the Tsar of Russia became the King of England. And that only leaves China. And what's happening right now? America hates China.
Well, the Queen now, the current Queen, gave us Christianity instead of Catholicism, or whatever it is, you know, instead of Catholics. And of all the religions, I was thinking the other day, being a female, that's probably the one that treats female the best nowadays. Not always, but...
Well, we were saying, weren't we? You know, that doddery old lady. Look what she's been doing. You know, why not just tell us the truth?
I think it was done before she took power.
Yes, but you know, they go out and they pretend to do, like, soup kitchens or something like that. And they must be like, they finish going, ha 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 ha, because we've got no idea what's really going on. And also, the bit that's really got me is that most people in America are going, oh, our president. Actually, he's not your president. He's the president of the corporation that you live in. It's different than having your own president. He's not allegiance to you. That's what I realised about the Queen. You know, with all the countries, they don't allegiance to their people. They allegiance to the Queen. So he's not allegiancing to you. He's allegiancing to the corporation. And they're the ones that have done all this.
Yeah, I promise that I will do my best to do my duty to God, to serve my Queen and help other people and keep the Brownie Guide law. It's the Australian one. Well, it was when I was a kid. Serve my Queen. And she still, excuse me, she still hangs in the barracks, in the messes in the barracks, on our army bases and.
I told you, even those like army barracks are not put there because that's where they've ended up. They've been put there so that we don't realise what they're protecting, whether it's a long barrow or a pyramid or some other methylific structure they don't want us to know about. Obviously has some powers or some real history or something they want. So, let's put an army barrack there because then the public can't see it or go there.
Or perhaps on an energy ley line sort of thing.
Maybe what it is, I've just thought about it. Menorca is a very small... Oh God, I forget what it's called. Baralic. No, it's called it's got Majorca, Minorca, and Ibiza. Those are the three islands off Spain. Very English connection with these islands. But anyway, when you go to Menorca, Menorca, not Majorca or the other one. On Menorca, there's loads and loads of these like little Stonehenges. or with the stones with the T's on and the things. It's just, they're all over the island, like they're all over us, like they're all over Brittany. But you can go to them, you can visit them. You can obviously get it on a map and go and visit them all if you wanted to. There are loads of them all over the island. Maybe that's why the barracks are up, because we've got maybe not bigger and better, but that's what they're covering up. But they didn't do it in Menorca for some reason. But they've done it here. They're just protecting. Wow, that's good photography there. I saw those. You got the stars around the moon.
Yeah. Yeah, they're the planets. That's Jupiter and Saturn, I think.
I meant that. Sorry.
Around.
Don't see it circling either, Gillian. They're just going straight across the sky on your pictures.
Yeah.
I'm just a bit gobsmacked that they've managed to get away with this for so long. And, you know, I don't know. There's just so much to learn when you wake up. It never stops. You could even pick one subject like medication. It would take you years to get through that, to understand it all and what's quite have happened. Or a couple of years, let's just say. There's education, medication, history. And then nothing ever links together. Like I said, me and Amy we've got this hangout going out tonight about admiral law and stuff like that, but it never said all this stuff. And then you go to the computer, and then actually if you put in this, or you put in that Britain, I found the flag. There's a GB and an American, and then there's more information, but it didn't connect that last night when we were doing it.
You know, all this time you've been talking about King James, I didn't realise that.
Oh yes, he was mad. Remember, he was mad.
Bible, the King James Bible. It was like I wonder. I'm thinking, why are you looking into this king for? Like, who cares? Who is this King James?
Oh, so they deemed him as mad. He's the mad king. Doesn't sound very mad to me. He's the one that's done all this. He's got businesses. He was very clever. No wonder he was the king of the president of America then, because he owned it.
What year was that?
60.
What year did he rule in?
I'll have a look at the video. It's on the video. 16 something. 1640, I think.
1600s. Okay. Yeah. 1600s.
And don't forget, we've had years and years of the War of the Roses. Like, were they just always fighting, or were these political wars? But they look like they're real wars, but they weren't. They were just like what they're doing right now with China. And that's the other strange thing I want to say. Right, so we kind of own America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the Falkland Islands, many more islands. We have the Commonwealth, which has many more places in it. The Queen owns India. There's obviously links to Malaysia and all these other places, the Bahamas, you name it, because of the Commonwealth, which looks very like the Tartarian map, except Russia and China aren't in there. But I think we've got our hand in Russia because the Tsar of Russia became the king of...
You've been to Russia? No, you've been to Russia. And I watched a video on all the places that England has conquered in its lifetime. And it is most of the planet. There's not much that they conquered.
Basically the Tsar of Russia became the king of England, right? Because obviously it was a dark-skinned person that was the... If there was a Tsar, he was dark-skinned. And then they had to pretend it was Edward the what's-the-name, and then they kill him off, and then he becomes the king of England. That sort of thing. So that only leaves China. And who are we having a trade war with right now? China. Very apt, isn't it?
Yeah, well...
And they're in it because we had the military games there in 2019, just before this whole virus. So you're not going to host the World Games, which Nigel said that China didn't know anything. Anybody he's asked about these games, no one there knows anything about it. No one knew that the military games were held in China. So that's a bit like no one here realises that down the road Silbury Hill is a pyramid. You've got to just, if you want to research and find out for yourself, you do. But people here don't even realise that. When you say, don't you realise Silbury Hill's a pyramid? They go, what? They just don't know. And it depends whether they want to know. And lots of people don't, do they?
No, there's this hill down the road, and you see it really well on the railway line. It's hard to find on roads. And it looks like a pyramid, but, with trees all over it.
I was travelling on the train and I saw one. I went, look at that, there's a pyramid there. It could not mistake it was a pyramid.
Yeah,
But
same.
because I couldn't quite, you know, I'm on a train and it's moving and I don't even know where I am, and it just, I didn't notice it on the way back. But I saw it and I thought, there's a pyramid, look there. And that was down in Cornwall.
Yep. No, I'm in Australia. There's not meant to be any pyramids here. I really want to go back with a shovel. Mind you, need a bulldozer because it's got trees all over it.
I just find it's quite ironic that, you know, and what I said to Julian was, what they probably can do is later on, they'll pick pictures and they could be revisiting now and they'll tell everybody it was a war. And they won't remember the 2 years of tyranny we had leading up to it. It'll just be classed as a war. But these things must be financial. So when you hear of these wars and they say all these soldiers were fighting, they weren't. It's all political wars. But then they're much more advanced because they were talking about, me and Amy are going to mention it. It says they had parliaments and the whatever. And I'm thinking, well, that sounds like today. Nothing really has moved on. You know, we're still doing the same thing. We've still got parliaments today. We're still doing, you know, when you're reading it, you think, well, that was 16 something. We're still doing that today. So, I just find it all amazing.
Yeah.
That's a good picture, Julian.
They're, well, just because it was a long time ago doesn't mean that they were stupid.
Well, we don't even know if it's that long ago. Do you remember I said to you? Sorry, Julian, I've cut in on you there. But do you remember I said to you? I said, we've got this image of them wearing those little trousers to below their knees and little pretty shoes. They've got their hair in a pigtail and they've got triangle hats on their heads and they're riding horses. That's what they've told us. And it's really hard to get these images out of your head because that's what you've grown up and that's what you believe history is. For all we know, they could have been totally different people. And it wasn't that long ago. If you do a catastrophe like there is a big flood, then that would destroy most things, wouldn't you? And then it petrified things as well. The last flood, everybody looks like they're digging out, not making, digging it out.
Yeah, and there is a lot of cities underwater. So.
But I also showed Ceres' map that, you know, when you look at it, you've got this great big ice shelf of Antarctica, and then you get to Greenland, which they've got ice and snow on, and then there's Russia, which, I mean, how many of us think of Siberia? It's the coldest place to be, but there's no ice, there's no shelf there, there's no ice shelf. So some people are saying, because of the star forts, that maybe they used some energy weapon. Maybe they melted the water behind Russia, or when they did whatever they did, it melted the water behind Russia, and that caused the big flood.
Could have done. Because it's, yeah, they do say it's the north that melted, don't they? Not the south, they say the north melted. And the south must have frozen over.
Yeah, I might put a little bit of video in on top just to explain to people. I'm not even saying his map is right. I'm just saying maybe that's what happened, because in his, it's like a party pop-up. The water behind Russia in his map is lower than the plane we're on. There's still water there, but it's lower. Then there's this bit where he's got the pillars there. There's 4 of them, isn't there? So you've got that, but there's no ice behind Russia, and they've told us how cold it is there. And if you go on maps, quite often they show you Russia as ice, but it's not. This is crazy. Antarctica's as big as us in this map. Yeah, so basically here is lower than there, and this is much higher. So sometimes when people said, are we concave or convex or flat or whatever it is, we're all of it put together, because Antarctica is an ice wall which goes up, and then obviously the other side of Russia is lower. But whether this is true or not, but this is what Google have inside. It's there, but a lot of people in the public don't know it's there. You need the API keys to do it. We don't know what we're living in. But I'm just throwing this model into the mix again, just showing you what we researched a few years ago as a group, but Ceres Unhippie here, he's the one that did this. Anyway, it's all interesting, isn't it? We don't know, do we? We don't know anymore, nothing. But anyway, this is another version of it. Anyway, this is gonna turn around, and this is Everest here. So basically, series did bits like Claudio's doing and so forth. He put life, the Buddha, he put it all on top of this map. So yeah, we're gonna obviously look into that in a little bit, in a few minutes time. But I just thought maybe people would want to see what we could be living in. It's like a pop-up book, isn't it? There's Everest, and it's taller than, and obviously the Andes used to come out quite a lot. They're like needles sticking up. Everest is the tallest. It's taller than Antarctica. Antarctica is still really tall, maybe 3-4 miles up. So it really looks like we probably had another ice shelf here behind Russia. So I wonder what happened there then. It's gone now. I don't know. It might be a bit of a shock to people, it might not be. On this video with Gillian, I just explained, or I'm going to explain, that it was about April time. I can't remember how old my kids were, but they were kids and they were in shorts. And these Americans said to me, as we were walking past, "Oh my God, they're in shorts." Maybe they felt the temperature is quite cold, but for us, they've got shorts on. Just to try and explain that, look what they're showing us. These are the beaches. It says Lithuania, right? That doesn't mean that maybe it gets to 50, it gets extremely hot, but it's hot enough that these people are going to the beach. Look, the beaches. Climate. Let's have a look at that one now. I'm going to press the climate one, so we're going to have a look at this one. Just to show, this one here. I've pressed it. Now my daughter has told me that it gets fairly hot, or it can do. Right? Here you go. And it probably gets in between these two, because she says it gets hotter. But there you go. That's what they're saying. Who would have believed that Lithuania would have weather like us, if not hotter? So this country here is still picking up 5 degrees, 75 the other one. About then. There it is there, up here. I'm not sure whether up here gets, well, maybe they get the odd hot days. We get hotter days down here, but not up here. And I actually think that England is lying on its side, which pushes all of this round anyway. It just does, because nothing's the way they said it is. But anyway, that's a little bit more information. You can see they're going up here to beaches. I don't know if up here they're going to beaches the same, except when it's, I don't know. Anyway, let's have a look at the temperatures for the UK. There you go, there's a little bit of information there. People can read that. It's not that much, is it? But I think it's bigger than that. They say, why is Scotland so cold? So there you go, see what I mean? A little bit more information there, which you can read. So, when I'm saying, like Lithuania is sort of on the map shown us as nearly as far up the Isle as Scotland, say, just below Scotland. And yet they've got warmer temperatures than Scotland has, see? That's my point. Anyway, let's get back on with the video. This is crazy! Everything is the other way round.
I still think it gets colder, right?
Yeah, it does, but they can have temperatures up to 40 degrees. We don't get weather like that here, and we're supposed to be sort of on the edge of the Arctic here. You told me, like, the reason we don't freeze is because those waters come up. It's more than that. But, Russia's much more north than we are. What? But the weather gets a lot hotter up there. They don't explain that to you, do you? So we don't really know what's happening. You don't know past, like I said, when they direct people to Antarctica, they take them to a few points. Well, if you went to Everest and you were there, you'd think this went on forever. So, and also the Andes, if you got took to the Andes, you'd think, wow, this goes on forever.
I know one of the reasons they give for these countries being warmer than they should be for their location is the ocean currents. That's the reason they give us, is that so you get a warm current from the south or from the equator, goes past England, and that stops you from freezing over totally like Russia does.
Right,
so
stop there, Gillian,
Russia
for a moment.
also...
Your video's finished. Stop there. Sorry, I just cut in because Gillian's video finished. Carry on, Gillian.
I was just saying, how the warm waters keep... the waters supposedly bring the warmth to England during the summer. Maybe Russia has some water that comes up from the equator that warms it up during its summer as well.
Well, I was really surprised. My daughter-in-law she comes from Lithuania, and she was telling me how everybody goes up to the beaches at the top, and they have, say, 6 to 8 weeks of really nice weather, and they all go on holiday up there, and you're like, what? Because imagine, on the maps they're showing us, that's thousands of miles north, they're going to the sea. They don't have it. They have, say for instance, we were supposed to get, say, from April till September. They might only get from May till August. They still have weeks of really hot weather, even if it gets really cold. And Mikey said that, and he's quite north in Canada. Quite north. Maps will just show he's in ice. But in the summer it gets up to the 40s. It can do. So, and then I was also shocked when I did my research that we were the same temperatures as Greenland. They do not have as many weeks of weather like we do, but their temperatures in the summer, at the summertime, say July, they're the same as us. You're like, what?
Are you talking Fahrenheit or Celsius?
Fuck, what wait, I swore then. Whoops, I might have to cut that out. Are we Fahrenheit? I don't know. Celsius. Americans are Celsius, I think, and we're Fahrenheit. So like 25 degrees, whatever that is, degrees.
Alright, yeah, okay, I'm in degrees.
Oh, good. That's weird.
25 degrees is not hot.
It's not cold though, is it? To us, that's a summer. The Americans and someone in Australia might say, well, that's really cold. But for us, that's quite warm. Listen, my kids were walking over the bridge in Hungerford in about April in shorts, and these Americans went, oh my God, those kids have got shorts on. Because obviously where they come from, it was a lot hotter. For us,
yep.
That's the way it is. We've got shorts on. Anyway, we're with you. You're filming. It's about lightning now, but you love lightning, don't you? You're a lightning watcher.
Yeah, I have been lately, because it looks a lot different when you pause it, when you film it and pause it, and then slowly do frame by frame. You're like, wow. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's amazing what you see when you stop it, when you don't stop it, and. I'm in total agreement with you. I was filming some lightning in the back garden, and I did it on my camera, and it just, whatever, but I slowed it all down because that's what I do. And that's what you do, isn't it, to look at things. And I couldn't believe how it kept cutting off with these lines going across the screen. Basically, just looking at all lines, and that bit's bright, that bit's not bright, and it's all sort of electric, and your camera's picking it all up weirdly, like you did.
Yeah, and the colours, I thought it would be black and white. And some of it is, but some of it goes like purple.
Yeah, purple.
So what?
Which is electric, isn't it? Electricity.
Yeah, and the sheets. And even though those lines, I don't know, maybe they could be the camera and the shutter, but there's like 3 or 4 lines, and then they'll be like fading sometimes. They're not, so, I don't know. I think it does go across the sky in like sheets sometimes. Like a line of darkness, and then bang, the light comes across, so it must appear like a line or something. Like a sun ray sort of thing. it's pretty bright. That lightning is so bright.
Yeah, but it's amazing what you don't see, but then when you slow it down, what you do see. That's what happens to me. That's all people have to do is get your own recorder and slow some of this stuff down, and you'll be looking at it and you'll be going, oh my God, this isn't real. For me, that is, not for you. You're filming nature. But we've got a couple of more minutes left. Is there anything you want to say, Gillian? Because obviously I've been talking loads.
No, that's okay. No, what were you talking about earlier? Oh, you just about that video with
with the doctors.
England still owning America.
Oh yeah, that just blew my mind a bit, because it's not like I said that I don't know it really, because I say the Americans have been telling you, we're looking at things, we already know it, but just the way that woman put it together. And as I said, that film's is old. It's not a new film, I don't think. It looks quite old, just whether it's the way it's been recorded. And I just thought, wow, golly. and also we're looking at virtual reality on the screens. Like, it's just hard to believe that the Queen's going, okay, yes, do that one then. Let's treat them like that. At the same time, you know, and then I told you, we've got to get out of our mind that they had these little triangle hats on with trousers to their knees and socks and little pretty shoes on, and their hair in a pigtail, and it's got white ringlets on it. I think we just got to get past that. That's just not the truth. You also feel that they were far more advanced then, don't you? You feel they had computers.
Yeah, I think they might have had them as far back as the 1800s.
But it sounds silly saying that, doesn't it? You're like, no, because I suppose it's just the way they've bred us, isn't it?
And maybe not everybody had them. I don't know. It could be wrong, but I don't know.
They've got something that we don't know about.
I just find it hard to imagine people making up languages and things under candlelight with, you know, a feather and ink.
Yes, Gillian.
Or if you want to go back further, parchment paper. I mean, they got parchment paper, like...
Thing is, if they use some kind of energy weapon, and we did have a big flood, and also people are proving that, you know, when things sometimes are in water or had water near them, they can petrify, and it doesn't actually take that long. It can all happen in a few years. Well, if those pictures show that we're digging, the last flood, I think the end of 1800s, we're digging ourselves out. Not making, digging.
Yeah, because there's still a lot of cities underwater. Don't know if I said that already, but
Well, we said this before we came on, that maybe that's how that lady in New Zealand did come from Prussia, because when her people came across, it wasn't what we, you know, like we're looking at it now and thinking, wow, they had to sail miles and miles, but there must have been more land, and maybe the boat trips weren't as long, and it was easier. And how come, you know, especially in 1641, everybody's travelling because they're making laws. That's why Admiralty law came along. So it's got to be a lot more,
and maybe if they were advanced, the reason they didn't have giant ships is because they didn't need them, because there wasn't that much water.
The crazy thing is, the tunnel that goes to Europe, there was another one built in the 1800s and abandoned for some reason. Why can't they just tell us the truth? That's the bit that upsets me, is the deception of everything, to be honest.
Yeah, sorry my daughter just interrupted me, she's gone to bed.
That's okay. Well listen, the video's finishing now. I mean, or do you want to talk a bit more?
No, I'm going to get going to bed, because it's after midnight here in Australia.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much for talking with us. We made 25 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, I'm stopping the video now. Gillian, thank you so much, my darling. Mwah.
Alright, love you.